Hello and welcome to a brand new episode. I'm Shiron91 and today we will be looking at a sequel for the X-Men Legends game, X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse. A couple of months ago I talked about the ups and downs about the X-Men Legends game and how I thought it was a very okay game. Despite its boring gameplay and repetitive routines, I still enjoyed it despite all its flaws, and I gave the game a harmless 3.5 out of 5. And I still think that score is pretty harmless. But what about the sequel? A sequel I honestly never expected to happen. But it did. And I got a lot of things to say about this game, so I guess it's time to gear up and dive headfirst deep into this game as we review X-Men Legends 2 for the PS2.
Nightcrawler, we've located the professor. It's okay to teleport in.
X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse was released on 7 different console systems: the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, the PC, the Xbox, the PlayStation Portable, the N-Gage, and the mobile system? Yeah, I couldn't believe that myself when I read it. The games themselves were almost literally sold 1 year later. Obviously, the first 4, PS2, GameCube, PC, and Xbox, were all released on September 20th, 2005. Then it was released for the PSP on October 19th, the N-Gage on October 31st, and for the mobile system on December 19th. I still don't know how they were able to make this game for a mobile device. The game, I have to say, feels a little bit safe for a sequel. Now, I use the term safe loosely because this game does have some interesting little positives, to say the least. You get some of the characters that you played in the first game, fair enough, but also you get the Brotherhood of Mutants. Sadly, you can't play as Mystique or Sabretooth. But instead, we have 3 others along with Magneto. And they are Scarlet Witch, Juggernaut, and Toad. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of playing as Toad. Well, at least he doesn't suck, thank goodness. I just really don't like him. But to be honest, I really wished Jubilee, Magma, and Psylocke would return to the game. But like I said in my previous review, I really can't expect a lot from this game, now can I? But I am going to have to be fair with this game and give it the criticism it deserves. Where they have done some good things with X-Men Legends 2, they do have some drawbacks. In fact, this review might be a little bit shorter than my last one. At least it won't be as long as my Final Fantasy VIII review. Honestly, I really should consider redoing that review someday. No promises though. First off, the gameplay. It's kind of the same. Same changing your teammates of 4, same creating combos and super combos, same pressing the X button to win. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, so maybe they wanted to add new features? The correct answer for that, yes. First off, the level up system is completely different. You have more powers and more points to increase your stats, and I'll admit, it is pretty cool. There are some powers that each mutant has that you can't even get to unless you meet the necessary requirements. I like this because it makes me feel like I'm getting stronger as either an X-Man or a member of the Brotherhood. And the choices that they have for power, holy cow, that is a lot. Of course, you can use the auto button to automatically put the stat points onto your mutant power. But there were a lot of times I would automatically choose a different power instead of pressing the auto button. You get more than 4 different abilities, even 2 extreme abilities, 1 for offensive and 1 for defensive. That I can really appreciate, because it makes all of the mutants feel very well balanced. Let's use Jean Grey's 2 extreme abilities for example. Her first one, Phoenix Force, obviously does some damage. For the second one, however, Rise from the Ashes, it revives a fallen ally, but you have to be close to that fallen ally, or in this case, allies. Or Magneto's 2 extreme abilities. Metallic Mayhem obviously does damage, but Metal Minion allows him to summon another fighter to help out in battle. This is pretty wicked. X-Men Legends 2, I appreciate that a lot. Well done. Obviously, to get the first extreme attacks like Phoenix Force and Metallic Mayhem, like I mentioned earlier, you have to be at level 15. But in order for you to get the second abilities like Rise from the Ashes and Metal Minion, you have to be at level 20. Not only that, but there are more powers that each mutant has, not just 2 attacks and 1 buff. It's just a real shame that 2 ultimate attacks wasn't implemented into the third game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Well, at least more than 1 different mutant ability and powers were transferred to that game, so I'm willing to give it a pass. Speaking of improvements, the game's graphics and FMVs are also a much better upgrade. Much cleaner and more improved respectively. The graphics in-game are much smoother and well done, making me believe that they tried to make it less cartoony and more comic book-esque, and I appreciate that. While the FMVs, oh my god, they are amazing. Clearer, smoother, and less awkward than the last game. Now don't get me wrong, the first game's FMVs were good, but the second game's FMVs are even better. It honestly makes me believe that this game should be made for a PlayStation 3 console. The gameplay itself, as I mentioned before, are the same with its fighting mechanics, but as a wise man once said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this game is no different. You can press the same buttons in order to get through, or like I mentioned earlier, go all Street Fighter and button mash absolutely every single button attack that there is in this game. But there will be some enemies on some occasions where you have to use certain combo attacks in order to take them out. I like this. I'm really glad they implemented this into the newer game. I just wish they would have done that on the first game, so I wouldn't have to feel like I'm mashing the X button repeatedly just to get through the level and still have enough time for lunch. The story, I believe, is a lot longer than the previous ones. It's not really restricted like it was in the first game. No routine of going to the X Mansion, briefing, mission, X Mansion, rinse and repeat, thank goodness. Instead, you go to different areas, like Genosha, Avalon, the Weapon X facility, the X Mansion that gets destroyed by Apocalypse. I'll explain more later on, so bear with me, please. And to the game's final level, Egypt. Sadly, no attempt to play Duel Monsters with. And these 5 levels act as the central hub world, where you can talk to other characters in the game, buy and sell items that you don't need anymore, taking part in some danger room simulations, play trivia games, check up on the items that you've picked up throughout the game, like comic books, sketchbooks, homing beacons, and have the mission briefings. Also, on a side note, in the previous game briefings, none of the characters' mouths moved, and their arm movements were completely wonky. But in this one, their mouths open and their arm movements are not wonky or weird. I got to say, I was so glad they didn't stick with just an X Mansion as the hub world. I'm glad they expanded on the different worlds the game has in the Marvel Universe. Genosha, Avalon, and Egypt are the 3 new levels that were added into the sequel, and I'm glad they did. And don't get me wrong on this one, I still enjoyed the X Mansion, and there was nothing wrong with it, but I'm just glad they expanded on the second game, so I'm willing to give that a pass, because I think the story in this game, in my opinion, takes the cake. The story takes place years after the first game, where a new threat emerges, Apocalypse. A powerful mutant who is on the hunt for 4 specific mutants with something in their genetic codings called harmonic DNA, and it's up to the X-Men and the Brotherhood to work together as a team in order to save Polaris, Quicksilver, Emma Frost, and Sabretooth, who have been kidnapped because those 4 mutants are the ones who have the DNA. And in the process, Apocalypse leaves no stone unturned, not only leading to the kidnapping of the 4 mutants, but also destroying Professor Xavier's mansion, turning our allies against each other with mind-altering drugs, and leaving terror in its wake, and it's up to us to stop him before he takes over the world. And I think it's a pretty good story, because no matter what we do, our main antagonist is always one step ahead of us, and I think the story is the real saving grace, because the gameplay itself was not really good. Well, at least I don't think it was anyway. But what do I know? To me, this game is a little bit more of an improvement than the last one, and that's definitely saying something. Even though the first game actually led to us having a repetitive routine, it was still fun. Its sequel, however, really expanded itself. And what's even cooler than that is that when you beat the game, you not only get to unlock Deadpool, a character you fight in the New York City level, but you also get a new game mode plus, with all of your levels and all of your characters that you've unlocked and achieved. And I have to say, that's way better than just simply unlocking skins when you beat the game. So this game did a lot more better with its improvement. And I have to say, beating that game was definitely worth it too. Heck, even when you start a new game, you have the option to choose between easy, normal, or hard mode. I did originally want to play this game on easy mode, so I wouldn't be so hard on myself, but I decided to push myself and go for normal mode. And I felt so satisfied whenever I beat that boss that was so hard for me. Of course, like with every other good moment, there are bad moments. But it's not a big bad moment, just a teeny tiny bad moment. And it's keeping up with your leveling system. In the first game, none of your characters felt left behind, and they were pretty even. There were a couple here and there that were a little behind, but not too much. But in this game, oh boy, some heroes are so behind, you literally have to buy level ups to help them keep up. I'm gonna let that sink in for a little bit. I mean, yeah, why grind for experience points when instead you can grind for tech bits? I never really bothered with it, because I really wanted to feel like I earned that character getting a level up. There were times I did do it, but not a whole lot. Putting aside the fact that you can buy level ups for your characters and buying points, you can also buy something to help reset absolutely everything. I didn't even know about it until I bought it. But hey, if you want to clean start certain characters, that's pretty cool. I only used it once, and that was it though. And the second one has to be that ending. It's sad to see the X-Men and the Brotherhood part ways and stuff, but there was one question that was always itching in the back of my head. How come Mr. Sinister didn't do anything throughout the game? Is that how he is? I'll admit I'm not the biggest comic book person, so I don't know. All we do see him is just him standing there on the top of the pyramid letting out an evil laugh. And that's it. That's the game. It goes straight to credits and back to the level where Apocalypse was. I was honestly expecting a true boss fight besides just Mr. Sinister's evil laugh. At least this game is a lot better than its prequel. So, my final rating for this game is a 4 out of 5. And is worth it. It's like I said earlier, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what this game is. A decently good game from its previous one, just improved and a little bit more enjoyable. I honestly enjoy the levels and what they have in store for me in my adventures. I enjoy the amazing twists and turns that this game actually throws at me, and I didn't feel bored out of it. It made me want more and more and more. My only gripe with this game is that its gameplay and fighting mechanics was a little underwhelming, but at least they fixed it with certain button commands in order to take out the enemies, so I'm willing to give it a pass. Despite all the flaws that this game has, I was still willing to give those flaws a pass because its positives definitely shine. I just wish we had an X-Men Legends 3, but at least we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. And before anybody asks, no, I'm not going to do a review of any of those two games. Also, I really don't know if I'll do a Let's Play of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. No promises on that one. The game itself is not hard to look for. You can find it on Amazon, eBay, or Loogie Games, like I've mentioned earlier in my 2 previous videos. If I haven't talked about Loogie Games earlier, I think my first X-Men Legends game review will probably explain it a lot better. But if this is your first time, Loogie Games is an online gaming store where you can buy used games, with their cases or without cases. You can even buy other kinds of equipment, like consoles, controllers, memory cards, add-ons for consoles, you name it, they'll have it. So go check out Loogie Games. Check the link in the description below for their website. So if you ever find this game anywhere near you at a flea market, or just want something from the internet, you can go ahead and look up X-Men Legends 2 Rise of Apocalypse. With that, a sequel is finally done. And just in time too. You know, this was not an easy game to go through, I'll give you that. But I felt so proud when I was able to beat it, and it really made me appreciate this game a lot more. At least now, I can focus on the stuff I want to do. I think. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell to let you know when more videos are coming out. Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Links in the description below. Also, do you have an idea for a video game you would like me to review in the future? Then please let me know in the comments below. I'll try my best to read them. But in the meantime, for the next 3 months, I will try my hardest to focus on the Spyro games. The classic ones, of course, as a way for me to celebrate the announcement of the Spyro the Reignited trilogy. Anyway, I'm Shiron91, and I hope to see you all on the next episode. Happy gaming, everybody!